everybody, welcome back to my channel and welcome to today's video. As you can tell from the title, you already know what this is about. I want to talk to you a little bit about where I've been, what's been happening, and give you a real kind of PCOS TTC update. Now, starting off, some of you don't care, and if you don't care, I'm not offended, you can just skip on ahead. But for those of you that care and have been following my story and have reached out and been very supportive, this is for you. And a lot of people have asked me like, hey, you don't post a lot of videos anymore, are you still doing YouTube and things like that? And so this is kind of what I wanted to address. Sorry, I just realized my air conditioner was on, so it should be more peaceful now. The last time I made a video about this was only a couple months ago, and part of why I wanted to make this video is to address some of what I was feeling that I really wasn't sharing. I was really hopeful. I feel like you can tell I was excited about this next season, but definitely what happened after that video was not what I expected. And I'm just in a different place, and I just have a different perspective that I felt like I needed to share. And as always, I make these videos, I share my story in hopes to help people that are in the same position or similar position. But this video right now, I'm making not just only for that, but I also feel that a need to have like a cathartic experience, like sharing this as much as it would help someone else, that it's really going to help me. I've been pretty, I would say depressed these past like 5-6 months. I know everybody has with COVID, but for me, COVID, maybe exacerbated what was going on, but definitely PCOS, and then having to go see a fertility specialist and everything that it involved, I think I was at pretty much my lowest. And I just even before starting the fertility process, I could barely muster up the energy and inspiration to create videos. Like, I probably have 10 videos that I have either filmed or tried to film that I just can't edit and post because I just don't feel like it. I didn't feel inspired. It was really difficult for me to talk about makeup or my favorite things or a vlog when literally I just felt horrible and miserable and sad, and all I could think about is what was going on with my body and these tests and things like that. And I know people are gonna watch this that know me and say like they didn't know, and in that way sometimes I feel like I was kind of a bad daughter, sister, friend, cousin. Like I feel like there was a lot of times when I was just snappy or not present or not sharing. And I think part of it is there was so much going on inside that it was like there was so much happening in here, I don't want it out here. So like I don't really want to talk about it because I'm dealing with it already internally. I don't know if that makes sense, but in my mind, that's how kind of my process was. And my emotions lived, and they still kind of do live, very close to the surface. So when I would start talking about it, when I would be confronted with it, when I had to deal with it, it was very difficult for me to just like not break down and just like cry. If I make it through this video without crying, then that's amazing because I cried so much the past 4 months. So this video is going to cover a lot. A lot of you know I like to talk. So if you love that about me, then you can follow along. If you hate that, I have timestamps down below. So we're gonna go over my PCOS journey just so far, like an update. My fertility experience, going to a fertility doctor and kind of what that entailed, our treatment, and I'm gonna talk a little bit about Metformin. So I will have those time stamped down below. You can skip ahead to parts that interest you. Okay, a quick summary. I have some notes down here, so if you see me glancing down, that's what it is. But for a quick summary of my PCOS diagnosis, I was diagnosed in 2020. I had very irregular cycles, like maybe 3 to 4 a year. And year 2019 into 2020, that's when things started to get really bad, and I could sense my body changing. I started gaining weight in my stomach area, which I had never had. I was just having horrible sleeps, horrible cravings, pretty much a textbook PCOS case. So I saw my doctor. He referred me to a fertility specialist at the time who I did not like. I just didn't feel ready to go see a fertility specialist. I really wanted to heal the PCOS first. So I actually found a PCOS naturopath who I loved working with. I really enjoyed her. We got my sleeping on track. I started these amazing supplements to help PCOS. I was getting what I thought was a cycle every single month, which was great. Unfortunately, by the end, which was almost a year of seeing her, I wasn't seeing the results that I wanted, which was getting pregnant, and that wasn't happening. So it was her and my doctor that both suggested, okay, it's time to go see a fertility specialist. So starting my fertility journey, I actually found a wonderful doctor that had great reviews. I chose her specifically based on the fact that everybody said their clinic and the doctor was very empathetic and compassionate. And if you're going through this season, it's very difficult, and the last thing you need to deal with is a cold and just distant doctor, like somebody that doesn't know what you're going through. We had an initial call with our fertility doctor, and right off the bat, we loved the clinic, we loved her. Everybody just really seemed to understand where we were coming from. But right away, we were definitely faced with what felt like a mountain that we were about to climb. We were told we were going to have 7 weeks of testing, which is a lot. And essentially, it's the exploratory phase. Everybody has to kind of go through this. Andrew had to do 2 tests. My testing started when I had a cycle. So I had a cycle, and then 3 days later, I had to go in. And then I went like I think it was day 3, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16 for testing. And so I was told that every time I would come in, I would have to get blood work done and an internal ultrasound done. They also told me I would have to get a sonohistogram and potentially an endometrial biopsy. All of this made me feel very overwhelmed and scared. That was a lot of testing, a lot of words that I didn't understand, but you know, you just want to get going. You just, like, my mind and my eyes were focused on the prize, which was treatment. Like, what's gonna happen, like what's wrong, and let's fix it. I just want to say the real MVP was Andrew, and he was so supportive the whole time. Like, I was terrified. Every appointment, I was so scared. The first time I went, I even had like blood pressure through the roof because I was just so anxious, and they were like, you need to get that checked out. He would drive me every single appointment, and he couldn't even go in. He would wait in the parking garage for me just so that, you know, I would have him and his support there, which meant the world to me because, you know, even though I was going through the testing, we were going through this together, and he never complained. We'd have to get up so early. He'd walk the dog, and then he'd drive me, you know, almost an hour one way, and then come back and then go to work, and never complain. So I am so thankful for that. I couldn't have done it on my own at all. Okay, so testing starts, you go every other day until like cycle day 16. So blood work is fine, like meaning like I didn't mind getting blood work done, the ultrasound, whatever. Sonohistogram, oh, that was not fun for me. Every woman is different. So what I'm gonna tell you was my experience, but in no way base your experience on mine, but it was just not good. It was pretty painful for me. I was very uncomfortable. I ended up like yelling at the doctor to just like stop. It's not supposed to hurt. Every woman is different. You only take ibuprofen, so it's really not supposed to hurt. So I don't know why I was in so much pain, but that gave me a little bit of PTSD, and I feel like kind of, I don't know, I felt a little bit distrust with just like anything to do with fertility after that, because it was just not great. But the doctor, she's amazing, so it's not her fault. Aside from having a couple of cysts on my ovaries, which PCOS, polycystic ovarian syndrome, the first problem arose pretty quickly, and they told me I was having anovulatory cycles, which I had never heard that word really. Like, my sister had mentioned that to me, but I didn't really understand. And essentially what it was, an anovulatory cycle occurs when a woman skips ovulation. Insufficient levels of progesterone can lead to heavy bleeding, or a woman may mistake bleeding for a real period. So I was actually taking progesterone through my naturopath. So what was happening was I was having a cycle, but I wasn't releasing an egg, which means I wasn't ovulating. So when you don't ovulate, I believe that's kind of what causes the cyst. So right away they were saying, okay, you're having an anovulatory cycle, which I was so like scarred from the sonohystogram. I don't think I like heard anything anyone was saying at all. Then they decided to stop the testing phase at about day 14 because they didn't believe that I was gonna ovulate. So they sent me home and just said, like, come back in a week and we'll see what's going on. Come back in a week, nothing had happened, didn't ovulate or anything. I was very discouraged. And so because of that, I had to get an endometrial biopsy, which was much better than the sonohystogram. I mean, nothing is great, to be honest. None of the tests are great, but it was better than that one. After that, after all the tests were done, we ended up having to wait 3 weeks to get all the results. So our treatment plan. So it was terrible waiting 3 weeks because you're just worried, like, is something wrong? What's going on? What are the results? But there was also a lot of excitement and anticipation of, like, I'm finally gonna know and we're gonna get this fixed. I was a ball of emotion leading up to the doctor calling, and finally when she called, it was not what I expected. So essentially the sonohystogram, the horrible test, came back inconclusive because I was so tense. I was in so much pain. The sonohystogram, I forgot to mention, they essentially fill your uterus up with water, and this test is to show whether or not the fallopian tubes are open or closed. So the issue is that because I was so tense and in so much pain, they couldn't tell whether the fallopian tubes were opening or not. So unfortunately, the doctor, we're at a standstill, and I don't get a treatment plan or anything until they find out if my fallopian tubes are blocked. So we have opted to do a surgery, a small laparoscopy. I don't really know how to pronounce it, laparoscopy. Yeah, they're just going to take a look and see if they're blocked or not. The sad thing is, if they are blocked, I mean, it's not the sad thing, it's just a harder reality, is that if they're blocked, we will have to do IVF. Not terrible, but just not what we expected. But I'm really believing that they are open, and that I was just really tense. And you know, if you're a believer like me, I believe in the power of prayer, the power of healing, and I really am believing that nothing is wrong, and that really the only issue is that my body is just having an issue ovulating on its own. I believe that the Lord is going to heal me, and if not, like if we have to go through IVF or whatever, that He's going to give me the strength to carry it through. And again, I couldn't have done it without the power of prayer from the people, you know, surrounding me. Every single appointment, my parents praying for me, my family. It's been a season. Now, the one surprising thing that has happened during this whole testing phase was being prescribed metformin. So metformin is used for diabetes, but it can also help relieve insulin resistance in PCOS. It works by improving your insulin sensitivity, which can in turn decrease glucose production in your body and can help induce ovulation. So the doctor prescribed this to me as like hey, let's just try this out. This will help you. And I was open. To be honest, I wasn't actually that open. I was just angry. If I'm being honest, I was really mad that that stupid test didn't work and that I was gonna have to, you know, do it again. It actually took me a couple days to even fulfill the prescription because I was just like not really thinking about it. I actually have a separate video where I share my metformin experience, so I won't go into it. But I'll just like cut to the chase. Metformin is really working for me. My body is loving Metformin. Honestly, it was shocking to me that within the first week and a half of taking it, I actually got my period. I was blown away because it was like a normal cycle, and I had lived so long without having a normal cycle that you realize when you have a normal cycle that all your other cycles were abnormal. The other good news is that my body actually ovulated on its own with just the Metformin. Never happened in how many years? So I love taking the Metformin. I am so happy. It's been like a gift, such an unexpected gift, because I didn't expect it to work. I read so many reviews and it was so mixed. So that was like truly a blessing in disguise. So kind of to wrap up this video, as of today, right now, I feel so hopeful and happy. I haven't felt this happy in a very long time, and I'm feeling more like myself. I feel like doing the things that I love again, which feels refreshing. One thing that has really helped me, and if you're going through this season, Bethany Barnard just put out a new album called All of My Questions, and it's about her conversations with God through struggling with grief and asking these hard questions, going through things like death or depression, or whatever you're facing. I have had a lot of grief in this season. I've had a lot of confusion. I've had a lot of anger, but I've also had a lot of moments of realness with the Lord, a lot of silence of just sitting and listening and trusting and learning and holding on to hope in the depths of despair. And some days that literally looks like having faith like this big, like a mustard seed. To me, that whole imagery has had a whole new meaning, because some days like that's the size of my faith, and then some days my faith is so much bigger. But it was just an up and down, and Bethany's album coming out made me realize that the Lord he's walking me through it. I'm not alone. He's sitting next to me, dealing with this with me. Every song that she wrote feels like it's right out of my journal. And I share this because if you're going through this season, it's been like a true gift to me. It was actually, I feel like, part of why I can sit here and seem really happy and be really happy is I feel like I processed a lot of this past season with that album, and it only came out like a week ago. It's been on repeat. I'm gonna link it down below. But that is enough for me. If you are still watching, thank you so much for following along. Thank you so much for supporting me on this journey. And I will keep you posted. I would like to do more updates. I feel like I'm okay to talk about this now and to be more open and vulnerable with you all about what's going on. And let me know if you'd like to see that, what part of the TTC journey, trying to conceive, and PCOS you would like to hear more about. So thanks so much for watching. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button, and I will see you again for another video. Bye.